Hello, welcome back to 3D Drawing for your Model Railway. Today's episode we're going to work on these bank units that support the rails when they're fully loaded. Now some of these I've got some great photos with dimensions on, other dimensions then they're not within the documents I've got, so we'll be just using a bit of guesstimation to work out roughly the sizes that we require. I'm also not going to model it exactly how it is in the real life. To give you an example of what I'm talking about there. So if we look at, let's have a look, this photo here, we can see that the unit's actually hollow all the way through, and these guide rollers here would obviously be sitting out the bottom. Now to help with the printing of this, what I'm actually going to do is not actually make it hollow all the way through. I will give it a base, so that these rollers don't actually protrude through that base, to enable it to have a nice flat surface. Otherwise, supporting the underneath of this would be an absolute nightmare, and you'd probably lose quite a lot of your detail. And ultimately, it's not really going to be seen, because how often are people going to actually get below the wagon height to actually be able to see up into it? So I don't actually think that's required. And again, looking down, because the clearances here are so minute, I don't actually think you would get a nice clear view through either. So I'm just not going to bother with that, and just draw it to the best of our ability. So the first thing really I'm going to draw is down the centre here. We've got this nice pole that goes all the way up here, nice circular drum that the unit rotates around. So I'm going to draw that first of all, and what we're going to do is make sure we're still in the intermediate banks, create a sketch on the surface of the wagon, so the surface of the chassis there. I'm going to find the midpoint. So the easiest way is to just use that construction plane we've got there, and we know exactly where it is, which actually is not going to do that because it won't pick it up unless we project it like that. And then we can snap to it. We don't have a midpoint of these, so we can project on those two edges and then draw our circle. And actually, if we project that on, that edge will give us the midpoint there. There we go. It won't come all the way through, unfortunately, which is fine. So what we'll do is let's go for 1.16 at the moment. Let's define the distance. So in fact, let's inspect the distance. So from there to there, we've got 1.75. So what we can do is dimension from there to the midpoint and do 1.75 divided by 2, and that'll snap it to the middle. Okay, as regards to the diameter of this, well, if we look at this photograph, you can actually see it's actually thinner than the bank beam here, and on this we've got 180 millimeters across. So what we can do is dimension the circle, and we can do 180 divided by 148. There you go. And actually, that's the width of the bank, but the circle's actually slightly smaller than that. So we know we've got 1.22, so if we do that as a 1mm circle, then those bits will sit outside like we're intending. Okay, what I'm then going to do is select the profile for the circle and extrude that vertically. And height-wise, we're actually going to be slightly lower than this top surface, because this trapezium-sided shape on the top is flush with the top. So I'm going to bring that up. Yeah, 6.5mm, making that a new body. It's important you do that. You don't want it joining to the chassis, and equally we don't want it joined to this unit at the moment. So it's a new body there, and then on the top we create another circle that's just slightly wide, so we'll go for 1.2 wider, select those and then extrude that, and that just gives us that plate on the top. So if we go 0.1 millimeters, that'd be great. And then what I'm going to do is draw a sketch on the, let's undo that, draw a sketch on the mid plane and slice through, so we can put that sketch on the top here. One thing to notice is obviously it goes across the wagon and it doesn't rotate. So although I'm drawing it here, what I'm going to do is draw it on the top and then rotate that around 90 degrees as a separate body. Let's project on that top edge. We'll draw a line across, give a dimension for 0.75, height from there down 0.6. We put line there and another line there, and then if we do some angles here, so we're going to drag this across and put that midpoint of that. Let's put a point in the middle. So put a point there, vertically, horizontally constrain those 2 points. Bingo. And then we can extrude this symmetrically, and I'm just going to extrude that by 0.1 millimeters. Do it as a new body. Okay, that. And then what we can do with that body, drag that down, that body 4 there, we can move copy, rotate, select, sorry, let's do that again, move copy, remove, and then that's going to rotate at that point. Sketch back on that one, and I'm going to go back into that sketch and just put that line in there. Between those 2 points, finish that sketch, come back to that move copy, rotate, sketch back on around that axis, and rotate that 90 degrees. Probably easier ways to do that, but I've got what I've required there. And I think there's a hole in it as well, so what we'll do is just put a circle in the middle, 0.3 in diameter, and extrude all the way through to the other side. Okay, so I'm now going to start on the cross members here. So we've got a height of 15, for the total height 15 centimeters, and a width of 18 centimeters. So I'm going to come on to this inside face. I'm going to draw on this profile here, so on the back of these blocks, which essentially would sit connected to. I'm going to slice all the way through, and I'm going to project on all of these profiles here. not worried about the two sides, but I want the height of the hole as well and the circle. So as I said, we've got the height of, so the width of 18 and the height of 15. So I'm going to draw a rectangle to start with. That's like that. And I'm going to dimension the width as width of 18 centimeters. So 180 mil divided by 148, and the height was 150 divided by 148. Actually, you probably want it to be higher. What I'm going to do is vertically constrain that to the bottom of there. I'm actually going to come up higher. Because of this pin. Yeah, I'm going to come up to 1.2, no, 1.3 millimeters height there total. Right, left and right position. Let's define that to the edge. 1.1 centimeters there. Sorry, millimeters. 1.03. Yep. 1.07. Okay, so let's need to get all of those profiles and extrude all of those profiles again. What we're going to do is drag that through. So I'm going to turn off these bodies. Okay, let's get that back on. And finish the extrusion to the mid plane that we created down the middle of the wagon. Make sure we've got the right one. Plane 4. So looking at this, we're going to need to raise up this circle. Again, just creating that as a new body again. It's going to jump back in the timeline. There. Edit that feature. I'm going to make that 6.7 millimeters higher. No, it needs to go a little bit more, and this will all need to go up a bit more as well. Okay, that's going to work. Let's come back across. That's fine. That's fine. That one. Find the height from there to there. It's 0.3. Okay, so what I've actually drawn there is a larger box rectangle section that's larger than the actual unit itself. Now the reason for that is I want to put these on, and I'm going to use it as an extrusion across and then horizontally across the wagon so I can get that profile into them. So the height here you can see is 80 millimeters, and we have 3 rollers within there. So I'm going to draw a rectangle on this profile here. Okay, I'm not worrying about that dimension initially when I drag it out. I'm going to dimension from the bottom to the base of it. So that's, as we say, it's 80 millimeters divided by 148. I'm going to add a dimension on the wall thickness there of 0.3. What you're actually seeing there that looks wrong is that's missing off the end there, which is fine. So that's 0.3 there. We need to get 3 of these across. So let's stick 0.8 millimeters on that initially, and what I should really do is measure that point to, again, measure from that point to that point, so 0.95, that's the width of a rail. So let's close that, and then do 1 millimeter because you want a little bit of tolerance there. And then if we extrude that all the way through, let's just come back to there. What we could do is put another one in, 1 millimeter, vertically constrain those 2 points, and then put another one in, just 1 millimeter wide, and vertically constrain those 2 points. So we're getting pretty close to the edge there. Obviously we've got a dimension, these are thickness, we've got 0.2, and the same there, 0.2 in that. If I edit that extrusion to pick up those profiles as well. Okay, so we've got, this shape is maybe 40 millimeters. So I'm going to jump onto that inside profile, slice through. I'm going to put a line across the top. I'm going to define that height to the base there. So it's 40 millimeters. And then we've got an up across. We come up by 0.1. Diagonal line. Now we haven't got measurement on this, so just stick those in and define the angle between there. So 135 and the same on that one. And then what we'll do is extrude off the top there. And it comes all the way across, so we've got these both added in. Let's just have a quick look. Then we'll plant on this profile, but without that middle circle. Edit that feature, I'm just going to drag that all the way through. And we can put those back on. Let's just skip that history back a second, and no, we won't like that. We'll combine those two afterwards. So I've just gone back to the end there just to combine them. Okay, so now we've got those. What I'm going to do is on the top surface, I'm going to do an offset using the chain selection. No, I don't want a chain selection, I'm going to turn that off. profile, and I don't feel like it's again, it should be that edge. Why won't it like it's weird? Okay, it's not liking. Let's just use the lines. Okay, define width there. 0.2, and the same there, 0.2 on that side. Just to make this easy, I'm going to drag that all the way front, so project on that line. Let's just select those ones as well. And if we select that line, we can drag it all the way through. And we should be, no. Okay, so project that. Then, because you projected, you get 3 separate ones there. Okay, we're going to extrude that down. I'm going to extrude it to the base, find out what the width is, that's 0.54. So I'm actually going to do that as 0.34. So it's got a base in there of 0.2 wide. Telling it to cut. Okay, next thing is going to put the rollers in there. They've got slightly wide on both ends and then getting narrow as we get to the inside. So to make that easy, I'm going to do a mid-plane between that surface and that inside surface there. And then I'm going to draw a new sketch on the side of that profile we've just drawn for the trapezoid. Turn off the plane there, and then create a circle, snap it to the midpoint. Okay, so 0.75 in diameter. The rollers sit well below the top there, so I'm going to define this height. And I'm going to bring it quite far down, so 0.4. 0.45. I don't actually want it sitting out the bottom, which I mean I'll just have to go onto the base and just remove that with a cut in a minute. That's too far. I actually think that's probably a bit too low because the roller actually sits above that beam. I'm just sort of playing around to get this to look roughly how I want. I think that's going to work. I'm just going to extrude that 0.1. Going to do that as a new body again. I will come back and combine these once I've done all my mirroring and stuff that I want to do with them. Create a sketch on that inside profile, slice through to it, pick up the midpoint of the circle. Where is it? Yeah, I'm going to go for 0.5 on the diameter of this. That's sitting higher than there, which is what we're after, and then we can extrude that to plane 5. Turn that body off. I don't want to join to that. And then we do a mirror. So mirroring that body across its inside surface. So now we've got that in there, what I'm going to do is going to try and rectangular that body, rectangular pattern that body, axis horizontal, need 3 of them. If we come across 2.4, that should put them all in the centre of those. Click on OK. Okay, let's turn off this construction plane, I don't want that viewed. Okay, so now I'm just going to do some detailing on this end. I'm not going to do too much. I'm going to put the circle in and put a little indent here, I think. So, okay, sketch on that inside profile, slice through. It's just a rectangle type shape, like that. 0.6 by 0.4, and just going to extrude that to cut minus 0.05. And then put a circle in there about 0.3 in diameter. Height down 0.2. And then extrude that again all the way through to that side cutting. Okay, so now what we're going to do is turn off that, combine these lot together. So body 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then we can do a, sorry, done that. I want to do body and move copy. Copy. Then we'll do that, cancel that, that's moved it. Let's try again. Move copy. That. Okay, copy. There we go. Okay, rotate it around 180. And then we'll do point to point. And select 2 points which I want to be joined together. So I've done these 2 edges. Click on OK. And then I'm going to merge them together. So now I've got that one in the top there. What I'm now going to do is rectangular pattern those bodies. And initially I'm going to do 3 of them. There is a 4th one in the base, but it's an uneven space. So if we bring that down, there's 3.3 that we've done everything else. Okay, so we've got 3 separate ones, and then I'm going to do the same rectangular pattern. Top one, axis vertical, and if I turn off the chassis, what I'm actually going to do is bring it down so that the base is level. that's slightly below there. So what I can do is just click extrude, click that, do a cut, it just brings it down to that same height. Okay, then what I can do, let's make sure I get the right piece. Turn body 5, 10 and 11 off, which are the 3 upper ones. I'm then going to combine body 1 with body 3 and body 12, which is the base one. Sorry, I've got shift held down there, that's the problem. Should be holding control down to select those. Don't know what's happening with that, why it's done that weird thing. So if we just go back and forward in history, that will fix that. So now we've got, that is the base, or the base unit that we've got. So now what we're going to draw is this upright here that the units lock into when they rotate 90 degrees. So I'm going to draw in fact what I'm going to do first is we need to find out how far it is from there to the midpoint. So what's the best way to do this? Come back in the history to the copy. That's it, and we can find out what that distance is there. 4.28. So if we do 4.3 from the midpoint. Okay, we need to make sure we do this on the right end as well. Turn the chassis on. It's on the inboard end, so it will be on coming up this way. So right, we've got the mid plane already, haven't we? Yes. If we turn that one on, we can draw a sketch on that mid plane and slice through it. Now we can project on all of this lot. I'm just selecting various points along here that we can select to. Top of that and that line as well. Because I want to put with that line, that gives me the midpoint there. So I know that this beam coming out needs to be 4.3 long. Let's project on that bottom corner as well, and I'm going to vertically constrain that point to that point. Okay, so that will give me this beam coming out to the bottom here. Now, I can actually draw the upright. Yeah, let's do that as well. So the upright's going to come along here, and it's going to go to about that height. So to find the height, I'm going to go for 6.5 millimeters. And the thickness, I've got no measurements for this, so I'm going to go for, let's measure that length, 1.22. Let's go for 1.3 so it's wide enough. No, that doesn't matter, because I'm looking at the wrong way around. Let's go for 1 millimeter, let's make that a bit smaller. And then, it's not the greatest of pictures, but there is a slope on the outside of it. So I'm going to go from that height, and then slope downwards. And draw a line in there just to close that off. I'm not sure if it is. Define the angle in there. Let's go for 45 just to make it nice those, turn the chassis off. We do extrude and then symmetrical. We'll do that 65, 6.5 even. Nope, that's way too wide. It's 0.65, that's what I want. And then we're going to do that as a join. Let's have a look. If we can find a decent picture, it shows us roughly how thick we need that upright to be. I think 1 mil might be just a bit too wide. Yeah, let's make that narrower. Vertically constrain that point to that point there. That's better. What I'm going to actually do to make it easy is I'm going to extrude that to the same height as that inside surface there. Because we'll draw 3 of these locking circles on the end there. What I'm tempted to do is actually just cut that off and see if I can paste that onto there. Yeah, I think I'm going to cut this off. It gets a bit messy, but it will shorten up the drawing. So if we do cut split body, body to split, splitting tool will be that profile. See if it'll split it off for us. No, it won't. Let's do offset plane and then split body to split on that profile. Right, let's now split that off. So let's turn off the bits we don't need. So that. I'm going to turn that off and then combine all the rest of these together. Just a couple. Body one and then combine all of this lot. Okay, and then let's do some dimensions here. So let's find out what that is from the top to that line. 0.2. So if we draw a sketch on that profile, we draw a rectangle. Find the height to there, 0.2, and then the width is 0.68. These little pins, and I'm going to midpoint that line to that line, so they should be vertically constrained. I'm hoping. I don't know if it is. So draw that line down, midpoint that to that. So do that, midpoint there to there. Nope. Stop trying to diagonally for me. should just midpoint that to that. Okay, let's try putting a point on it. You can see how it's not constrained, so let's do that to that line. That line. Try again. Find midpoint. Vertical line. Let's try midpoint that to the line now. Yeah, that's what it was. That line was vertical. Okay, so that's now constrained. What we can then do is turn on that body. And if we do move copy, let's go and finish the sketch. Try again. So come out of the sketch, do move copy that body, click copy. Let's just drag it out there. And then move point to point, so that inside corner to that point there. And it also needs to be rotated, so undo that. Undo the copy. Try again. So move copy, drag it out, rotate it 90 degrees. And then I can do that point to point. So that point to that point. There we go. And then we can copy that body down. Ah, it didn't do copy. Let's try again. Move copy, create copy, pull to the side. Rotate 90 degrees. Point to point. That point to that point on the box. Click on OK. We should now copy. Helps if I press the create copy button, doesn't it? Try again. Move copy. Create copy. Move. Sorry, it's taking a while. I'm making mistakes there. Okay, so rotate it to 270, which that works. Point to point. There. To there. Create copy. That's why it was not working. Why has that moved that there? Let's try again. Move copy. Move type. Create copy. Drag out. Rotate 90 degrees. Okay, so it's created a copy. Now do point to point. Select that point. Put it there. Click on OK. Right, now we've got it. Okay, pattern that body. Axis down. And it's minus 3.3. Okay, we've got 3 of them, and then we can combine body 1 with these 4. Got there in the end. Okay, and then we've also got those going across. Good. Okay, now we've got there, what we're going to do is create a copy of these so that we can rotate the arms around 90 degrees on one on the other end. And again, I'm not combining these to the chassis so that you can print them separately and then glue them on afterwards. So let's turn those back on, and then if we select those 4 bodies, holding shift down, right click, move copy, cancel, try again, right click, move copy, create copy, and new type, create copy, there you go. I'm not going to worry about rotating the whole unit because, as I say, it's glued on afterwards. So just move that down. I'm not worried about distance. I've moved. I'm just putting it roughly in the right place. If we put the canvas back on, you can see how close we are. It's close enough. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is we turn off the top 4 there on the canvas, and then we turn off the chassis. Okay, so to rotate these round, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a mid-plane between the two faces of the arms. I'm going to draw on that mid-plane. Slice through, projecting on the baseline there, and I'm going to insert a point. It's going to be on that mid-plane, but also in the centre of the units. Then I'm going to select the 3 arms, move copy, move type. I don't want to create a copy, I'm going to set the pivot to that point if I can get to it. There we go, snap to that point, click tick, and then rotate to the top. I'm going to rotate those 90 degrees. So all 3 have rotated. Now you can do 1, you can do 2, however many you want to do. Click on OK. Turn that sketch off, just because I don't like the line being there. Minimize the sketches. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is combine these bodies together. So combining body 26 with the body 27, 28, 29. And then I'm going to combine that body 1 there with body 5, 10 and 11. Turn that back on and turn the chassis back on. So we've now got 2 different types. Obviously this would be the other way round. I'm not overly concerned about its position. I could rotate it around if I wanted to by doing, I'll show you how I do it. Creating that line back on, select that body, move copy again, set pivot point, that point again there, tick. You know that's the midpoint of that, we can just spin that 180. There we go. Just for neatness, it's done now. So we've got both versions. We've got with these top units all opened and with them all closed there. So I'm going to keep them as 2 separate bodies. So as I say, you can print them separately. They're not connected at all to the chassis. So that episode has been quite long, and you can see that I've worked through some areas, how I've done things, how I've had to go back and change them. But you know, at the end of the day, we've got to the point now where that looks quite nice. So we've got I think pretty much the whole wagon is pretty much done except for the bogies. So I'm pretty happy with how far we've come in 12, 13 episodes. So hope you've been able to follow along and you've enjoyed the series so far. Thanks for watching.